coming round faster than laps in a points race in a velodrome is another edition of Ask GCN Anything. So without further ado, let's start with this question from Inigo Hawkins, who asks, I'm planning to ride from the toe of Italy to the top in April 2018. What advice do you have for kit and for training? Well, thanks Inigo. That ride does actually sound like it's going to be completely and utterly epic. You'll pass through some of the most amazing scenery. We've spent a lot of time in Italy as a pro and, of course, with GCN, so you're going to be doing your very own Giro d'Italia, pretty much. Now, kit-wise, a lot will depend on if you're just travelling with your bike. If you're just taking your bike, you need to be a little bit more strategic with what you're taking, particularly if you're going to be carrying a tent somewhere to sleep. Now, if you are going to carry a tent and bedding, then you need to be quite strategic, as I've said. Not carry too much, just make sure you've got enough to cover you through all eventualities. But if you're staying in a hostel or in hotels, then of course with the extra room you can pack a few more spares, etc. But April in Italy is generally pretty warm at sea level. You'll be riding through some pretty pleasant climates, some Tuscany, etc. But the high mountains, if you're going over some pretty high mountain passes in April, there's going to be still snow up there. It's going to be very, very cold indeed. So make sure you've got something to cover you through all weather eventualities, including a really good rain cape and gloves in particular, even overshoes. Now, particularly in relation to the training aspect, let Simon talk you through.
It might sound counterintuitive, but actually training to be good at riding on successive days might not actually get you as fit and as fast as you otherwise would be. But the fitter you are, the less taxing your stage race or ride is going to be. So take for example this, which is the Passo Campolungo in Alta Badia. It's exactly the kind of climb that you'd find on an event like the Haute Route. And it is, as you can probably hear, a tough one.
Next up we have this question from Chax D, who sounds like a rapper. Hey GCN, can you help me? Because my feet are getting numb, especially on long rides. Even though I tried many socks and it still didn't help. Hashtag talkback. Well, thanks very much for getting in touch, Chax D. And I have noticed in the comment section that quite a few people very kindly have been getting in touch with you, giving you a few ideas, a few suggestions on what you could do to remedy the situation, like changing the position, maybe not having your shoes quite as tight. But I also noticed a little bit further down in the comments that you say, in particular, it's the ball of your foot that you're having the problems with. Now, what I'd suggest that you try is moving your shoe plate either forwards or backwards. So if you move your shoe plate forwards just a touch, what that'll do is place the ball of your foot over the rear of the pedal axle, and it will distribute the weight a little bit more evenly rather than directly onto the ball of your foot. If that doesn't work, then try it the other way around. So pull the plate further back on your pedal to get the ball of your foot over the pedal axle and try that. It's all about the redistribution of the pressure point on your foot. Now, if that doesn't work, have a look at the quality of your insole. It could be that you actually need an orthotic insole, which aren't particularly expensive. Seek a little bit of advice about that. Or it could be that you just need to look at your cycling shoes.
Generally, the more expensive the shoe, the stiffer the sole. Now, less expensive shoes tend to have nylon soles, then the next ones up will have carbon reinforced nylon, and then finally, a full carbon sole. Now, as well as being stiffer, carbon soles are also lighter, which is another big selling point to shoes. But fit and function are much, much more important than lightweight.
It's time now for the rapid fire round, so I'm going to count myself in. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. First up is this from Paul Stallard. Do domestics ever compromise their own position so their bike is a better fit for their team leader if he or she ever needs a spare? No, they don't. Next up is this from Joseph Anatree. Are you doing a video of your Taiwan KOM ride? Yes, we are. Watch this space, is coming very, very soon. Bro Ballers asks, what is better, cyclocross or mountain biking? Well, as you know, I actually was briefly a mountain bike professional, had a 5-race career, and then briefly I rode cyclocross, again, for just one race. And do you know what? I absolutely loved them both. I couldn't recommend them highly enough. Try them both. I just love them both. And they make you a better road rider as well, that is for sure. And they're a lot of fun too. Next up is this from Jordan Packham. My 5-year-old daughter wants to know why there are water bottles in the fireplace. Daddy, why are there water bottles in the fireplace? It's just because we haven't got anywhere else to store them, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, next up is this from Philip Nee. I'm flying with my nice carbon bike and carbon wheels. and this is in capitals, this next bit. GCN, what do you do to ensure your bikes arrive at the destination safely? Well, sadly, Philip, what I cannot do is ever give you an idea of how to basically guarantee that your bike and its expensive parts are going to arrive in any destination safely. But what I will advise is to really spend a fair bit of time making sure that you pack your bike as safely as you can. Put lots of wadding in there. Pipe lagging over the tubes is a really good idea. It's worth taking your rear mech off, tucking that away, and even investing a little bit more money in a solid bike box, and that's probably going to be the best option for you. Next up we have this from Donovan Commandeur. Hi GCN, please keep up the great content. Thank you very much. My question is it bad to position your knees inwards? Should your knees be positioned outwards when riding? Well, my knees are all over the place. My right knee goes outwards, my left knee goes inwards. I've got some insoles to help remedy that, but basically, skeletally, we all position ourselves differently on a bike. Peter Sagan looks quite strange on the bike if you look at the way his knees go in and out. There are certain things you can do, but basically there's no wrong and there's no right at all. And finally, for the rapid fire round, we have this question from Alex A. Matt, please do a POV video of a ride that we can use or watch during an indoor trainer session. It doesn't matter how long, just as long as it stimulates an outdoor ride. Well, if you check out our channel, we're not sticking a link up there, we have a load of videos from Alpe d'Huez up mountains, so stick in search like Campo Longo, indoor ride, and there's one there just for you. Whew, rapid fire done and dusted for another week. Let's just slow things down with this question from Mark P, who asks, on the flat I try to maintain a cadence of between 100 and 105 RPM, and when climbing, what cadence would you recommend for a climb of 3 to 5 degrees and 7 to 10 degrees? I have a 50-34 with an 11-32 cassette at the back. Well, hi Mark, thanks for getting in contact. What is the optimal cadence? That really is a kind of holy grail type question, and I don't really have a kind of specific answer for you, apart from what the most important thing is that you're pedaling at a cadence which is efficient and as comfortable as possible for you, given your level of fitness and given your style of a rider. Now, it seems from what you're saying that you have a particularly high cadence on the flat. 100 and 105 RPM is a relatively high cadence. So if you're on a climb, a 3 to 5% or even 7 to 10%, you want to drop that down to 90 or 80 or even 70 RPM. You tend to put a lower cadence on the steeper climbs. And assuming you have a reasonable level of fitness, the gear ratios that you're talking about that you have on your bike, it's clearly a compact, should be ideal. So 34 on the front and a 32 up back. But the question of cadence is an eternal one in cycling. Riders of the calibre of Bradley Wiggins and Fabian Cancellara throughout their careers have changed the style of their cadence to look at trying improving, and look at two of the finest climbers in the world. Chris Froome spins a remarkably high cadence, whilst Alberto Contador and Nairo Quintana, well, they turn a very, very low cadence indeed, but still are remarkably efficient. So the question remains, can you improve your cadence? Well, check out this video.
Low cadence drills are designed to build muscle endurance by asking your legs to generate more force at a lower cadence. So for this one, get in a gear which enables you to have a cadence of between 50 and 60 RPMs, whilst that sweet spot intensity. So a good solid tempo, and do 5 minutes of easy riding in between each one. Now ideally, you should do these on a climb.
Finally, we have this question from Tyrell W12563. There we go. I don't have a decent climb longer than a few hundred metres near me. Will interval climbs up these slopes help me when I'm able to find longer climbs? Well, hi Tyrell, thanks very much for getting in contact. The short answer to this question is yes. Repeated, short, intense hill intervals will help prepare you to ride on longer climbs. In fact, it's what I actually used to do when I was riding as a professional, riding abroad but based in the UK. In the UK, we simply don't have particularly long mountains, and where I was living, there were short climbs of a mile and no more. So I used to do specific sessions, and it really did help me out. I mean, I'll be honest, there's nothing quite like the feel of riding in the mountains, but what you shouldn't be deterred by is the fact you don't have any mountains nearby. So definitely it will improve if you do short structured sessions on these shorter climbs. And we have 4 structured sessions to help you on long climbs, but riding short climbs in this video.
Over-under intervals are increasingly used by professional cyclists as it enables them to cope with changes of pace and rhythm on a climb in a race. And even if you're not a racer, they can still be beneficial to help you cope with changes of pace on a group ride, or if you're on your own, changes of gradient.
Well, thanks as ever for all of your questions. Please do keep them coming using the hashtag TalkBack over on social media or down in the comments section as well. And while you're at it, if you haven't already subscribed to the Global Cycling Network, you can do so by clicking somewhere on your screen on the globe, and that way you won't miss another video. Now for 2 more videos I think you'll definitely enjoy, how about clicking just down here for our top 4 toughest riders, and please do get involved in the debate. Leave the riders that you think should be in our next video in the comment section below that video, and for our video on what is strongest, aluminium or carbon handlebars, click just down here where Simon finds out which is the answer.